Hey fellow Vault Dwellers, it's Angry Turtle, and today we are getting ready for March updates in regards to power armor. There are huge changes, but what will be the best power armor for the next update and how big the differences are between them? Most likely, what you will see in here as we are in the final phase of the public test server will be true for the rest of 2026. Most likely. If that will change, I will do a new video, but if not, this video will stay. So first, if you are watching it still in February 2026, how does the power armor work? You have a piece of power armor which do come with stats. On top of that, there is damage reduction, overall damage reduction, and radiation reduction on each piece of power armor. That does add up. And now on public test server, which is for the March update changes, when we take a look on any power armor piece, let's see this excavator torso, you may notice very high stats, but in the same time, outside of set bonus effect, there is no radiation reduction or damage reduction. So that's the biggest change. Power armor is losing all those stats and trading them for higher base resistances, including all the elemental ones like poison, fire, and cryo. They all are getting those stats. And I do have a prepared nice table with all those stats that I did manually. How I did it, I was basically entering each and every power armor to take the stats. At this moment, I have Ironclad equipped. The stats in the table are without Ironclad, without anything. But for the combat part, as I want as well to show you a little bit of the combat and difference between power armors, like the weakest, the strongest, what can you expect when you actually fight enemies, what will be the difference. So for that, I will have Ironclad equipped, as that's the realistic scenario. Like Ironclad boosts your resistances so much that even Excavator looks awesome. The resistance aspect at least. So that's all the new stats, and I do have, and I will show you with some of the power armors. They all non-legendary, full sets. I was considering legendary, but that would add additional complication to the showcase, so I'm doing that with non-legendary sets of power armor. But first, the table of stats. So here we go. I have all the power armors, and I sorted them from the best to the worst, kind of. It's not really, I know, and I appreciate your comments. It's not fully reliable to just add all the combat resistances together, but that's for me like the easiest way to put them into some kind of an order. Therefore, from ballistic up to cryo, I'm adding it all total to get a combat resistance total. Radiation excluded because there is really no enemies that shoot rats at you. Therefore, that's more like environmental protection, so I consider that separate from combat protection from the base 5 resistances, like 2 base and 3 elemental. So that's the total. So as you may see, Vulcan absolutely outranks everything else when the total is involved. But if you sort it based on other stats, let's go, for example, by ballistic, T65 is the highest. Vulcan and Hellcat are second together. T60 is very close if we sort by ballistic. If we go by energy, the highest is Vulcan. Then XO1, then Union, and then T65. So T65 is fourth. If we sort, if you for some reason will need poison, surprisingly now, the highest will be Strangler Heart Armor. Will be number 1 for poison. Union is second. Even with the set, that's the set included, and all stats without perks. So just the power armor stats. To be clear, I'm just repeating that. Then Vulcan is still really good. Still really good. Like I could say everything above 300 is really high. And then surprisingly, Raider is 4th and other power armors. If fire is considered, the highest one is Union. Surprisingly, it's not the highest for poison, but it's the highest for fire protection, then Raider, then Ultrasight, then Hellcat, then T60, and Vulcan, T65, they middle of the ranking. Then we go over Cryo. The highest one is T51B, that's the Cryo Protection Power Armor for some reason. Then Ultrasight, then Vulcan. And if you are looking for the best possible hazmat suit replacement, that's Ultrasight Power Armor, 3500 radiation protection. Second is Stranglerheart, which I was surprised they did different stats for Stranglerheart and for Ultrasight. Even though Stranglerheart is kind of based on Ultrasight, stats are different. And then we have T65, T60, XO1, and Vulcan is close to the bottom. So not much protection for rats, but as I personally do not care about rat protection, I'm really fine with this trade-off. And back to sorting of total. Here we go. But that's not all. Like, practical combat performance is more important. If you are not familiar with concept of diminishing returns, it's real. So how much actual difference does it make if you go, let's say, from 1700 protection to 2700 protection, so 1k more? How much difference does it actually do? Let's return to the game. As we cannot go over every possible combat scenario, as this video would be unreasonably long, we'll do two. We'll test on the Guardian in Gleaming Depths, and we'll test versus regular super mutants at Westek. I will be solo on a team. I make sure that my feral meter is filled up. And first is Excavator with my total health of 557. We're going to say hi to those regular super mutants. I removed all the reflective perks like Ricochet. Therefore, they will not kill themselves. They will only be shooting me. So that's the performance of Excavator. So you can see slowly but surely I am losing damage. And for comparison, we'll go for overall best or the highest ballistic. We can do both. So T65, the highest ballistic protection, to see if there is a difference. And you will see it even better on the Guardian, as Guardian is very consistent test subject when damage taken is involved. I need to enter quickly as I'm not wearing any armor underneath. So now, that's the highest possible ballistic protection versus the lowest. I will honestly tell you that diminishing return causes it that it may be hard for you to spot which one is better. Oh, and one has a set effect, so set effects are important. Hellcat is the one with the set effect. I will pop a Stimpack if this doggo will let me exit. One fast. Now I'm getting beating without armor. Okay, so that's the Hellcat. So in case of Hellcat, what's important about it, we do have damage reduction from ballistic weapons on the armor. That's the special effect of the Hellcat per piece. So total is 12%, as helmet is included. So 12% reduction from ballistic damage, but much lower stats. Is that better? The same? Honestly, looks kind of the same, regardless. For all of them. I'll be honest for you here. When we take a look on all of that, regardless which one I enter versus super mutants, it kind of looks all the same. They keep firing, I'm taking a little bit of damage per bullet. Now I have overall the strongest power armor. So here we go, the strongest overall power armor. I can do radiation test as well if you want to see like the lowest to the highest radiation protection. So that's it. Like, regardless what I wear, it kind of looks similar because of diminishing returns. And diminishing returns are even worse when damage per bullet of enemies is relatively low. Like, the highest your protection versus damage, the less difference there is if you increase the protection. So Guardian is a little bit better example as it hits harder. This time we are starting with Vulcan power armor, so very high stats overall. That's with Ironclad max out, so very high, much higher than you were able to see in the table. The table was just the power armor itself, now boosted by Ironclad, so almost 4k, both ballistic and energy. Very high. And now, Guardian is great, it fires in salvo, so that's the first salvo. We survive with 52% health. Second salvo, survive with 15% health, and we are dead. The first salvo is the strongest, as that includes rockets. So rockets are most likely ballistic damage, and lasers will be most likely energy damage. I'm saying most likely, as with Fallout games and Creation Engine, you never know. And now we'll switch armor to Excavator, so overall the weakest. Every time I will be testing that, I'm trying to stand in the same spot and make it as consistent as possible. The main thing to observe is health left after the first salvo. With the Vulcan power armor, it was 52%, and now one salvo, and we have 42%, so we took 10% more damage, and we didn't survive a second salvo with Excavator. And now we have T65. Can it do better than Excavator? Excavator, after first salvo, there was 42% health left. How much with T65? One salvo, and we have 54%. So it did better than Vulcan. Mostly because the higher ballistic protection, and yeah, it looks like missiles are indeed ballistic. It died in about the same time. Second salvo, it was almost even, so we are taking more damage from lasers, slightly more with T65, and less damage from missile. And last one that we'll test is there is like no reason to really test every single one. Hellcat, with not so high stats, but defensive protection from ballistic, the percentage one that none other power armor has. So how well can Hellcat do? Is this 12% protection from ballistic compensate for lower stats? 45%. It does not. It doesn't do enough. We almost died after the second salvo. Did just slightly better than Excavator. So it's unfortunate for the Hellcat. Its unique attribute is not good enough. And before we cover radiation protection, just a very quick look what will happen, like for a full picture. That's unyielding civil engineer, so no extra protection. Almost the same as non-legendary civil engineer. Much lower stats, like I lost 0 in all resistances. What will happen now? One salvo, enough to kill. So yeah, no health left. That was about full salvo needed. But yes, we do indeed take more than twice as much damage in regular armor compared to the power armor. So power armor does help, but not as much. Damage reduction, comparing regular armor to power armor, it's about 50 to 60%. Significant, but not as high as it used to be. So now, radiation protection. Civil engineer first with 339 that I have on me with Ironclad included. I'm taking here about 9 to 13 rats, depend when exactly I am. And yeah, I'm ghoul, so it's helping me, not damaging me. But it's the same on human I tested, it's just going other way around. And now the power armor. First, Excavator with the lowest possible radiation resistance on all power armors. We are looking at 4 to 6, so much less radiation, 7 in one spot. And now the highest possible. And highest possible radiation protection, and we are looking at 3 to 5, depend on exact spot. So yeah, that's the best hazmat suit. Ultra sight, my total radiation protection, 3500 here. And that's because it should be higher, but Ironclad currently it's bugging out from rats. So that's odd, but I will show you this bug. Now 5000 when I'm not affected by rats. So I'm not sure if Ironclad is helping with radiation at all. Is it just display bug on Pip-Boy, or is it really bugged? Can go either way. So now just to summarize, what is the best power armor if you are choosing from? And options are 2, maybe 3. All other power armors should be mostly ignored, unfortunately. So option 1, if you want to use some legendary effects that require enemies to be poisoned to work, like Vipers 4-star legendary, then you can consider Strangleheart because it adds poison damage to all your attacks. It's little, very little of poison damage, but enough to activate Vipers. So if you want to run weapons with Vipers, Strangleheart. Then, if you value some extra carry weight, then it's Union. In the past, I would say Poison Resist, but now it's not even the highest. So Poison Resist is not really a factor, but 75 carry weight is significant. And you can have a jetpack on it, unlike Excavator. Excavator has more carry weight, but no jetpack. So I would say Union is the choice for carry weight. And then if you care about VATS in your power armors, VATS is expensive, that eats fusion cores, or some unique mods for your arms, then you have Vulcan, which comes with a set bonus of extra fusion core duration, which is additive with the perk, so you can achieve total of 75% reduction to fusion core usage in VATS, which is amazing, it's huge. And top of that, AP regeneration 25%. Helpful, not essential. The first one, the fusion core duration, in other words, fusion core drain reduction, as that's how it actually works, that's huge. So those 3 power armors would be my choices. I know, T65 is cool, has nice stats, the highest ballistic, it just doesn't really matter too much. Honestly, that's my opinion. And that being said, thank you a lot for watching, let me know what you think, and see you all in the next one.